today's session, let us begin with multi-provider. Is multi-provider a virtual provider or real provider?
Multi-provider, I never heard of it.
Okay. So, can you name examples of real info provider?
Info
Real
provider?
info provider, DSO,
Yes.
characteristic.
There's no cube tables on.
I got disconnected. Were you also got?
No, we were here.
Okay, fine.
It's the DSO, cube, and info objects are real info providers.
Okay, correct. And virtual info provider will be like main difference. Real means physically hold data, virtual will not hold data.
You just reference it, right?
Correct. It's like a logical view. So if I have header data, item data, I want to combine header and item. I will create a virtual provider. I'm not physically combining and storing them. I'm just creating a virtual provider, a logical view. During runtime, data will be fetched. So in that way, I'm saving space. It will not physically hold the data. I'll just call them to make me presenter. Virtual provider examples are multi-provider, EcoSet, virtual provider. Okay, these are the examples. So this is nothing but when you want to combine data from multiple info providers, you use virtual provider. This will not hold data physically. It will fetch data during runtime. So out of the three real targets, which is popular?
The real info provider?
Yeah.
Power?
Yeah, or which is more widely used for reporting?
Cubes?
Yeah, just because multi-dimensional architecture. Similarly, out of these three, multi-provider is widely used. So most of the cases you will find multi-provider. Very few cases you will find okay. Most of the cases you find multi-provider. Very few you will find the other two. So multi-provider, it is based on union condition. If I have material number, material 2, item number, material number, material 2, item number 10. Okay. Now these are loaded into different targets. Item data, generally it will be detailed, so you load it to DSO. Header data will be okay, you load it to queue. I want to see combined everything. I want to see the item number for this and the material and then all the data. So for this I have to combine item and header data. For combining, do I require any common condition, or without that also I can combine?
I need a primary key to combine, right?
So, but in this case, for multi-provider, it is based on union condition. So, unlike objects also you can combine.
Okay.
That is the more flexibility which it is giving. You need not have a common characteristic.
Okay.
Need not have a common characteristic. As it is based on union condition. So now what I will do, I will just design multi-provider including what fields I want in the report. So my multi-provider is whatever virtual providers we are dealing, it is purely because of reporting requirement. Need for virtual providers is reporting requirement, wherein we need to combine data from multiple targets. That's the root cause. So now in this case, I know what I want in the report. Those fields I will include in the multi-provider. Now, what all fields do I need to include? I will be including material group, sold report. Because I want all this, I will be including all this. Okay. Now, sold price, sold quantity, from where I can get? Can I get it from cube, or I can get it from DSO? Sold
Cube.
price and quantity. Okay.
Cube.
And material number?
Either or, DSO and...
Yeah. But since you are combining data, I need material number from both.
Okay.
Even though the value is same, I need that field should be coming from both.
So DSO doesn't have the field, but your question is how we get those, right?
Correct. So this is a basic idea. Now we will take an example. In real world, what happens is there is BW is also used for forecasting data. And forecasting is nothing but what is your understanding of forecasting?
You mean the forecasting, like something that
Basic terminology. I'm forecasting something.
yeah.
If you are talking about a multinational company, their profits they will be forecasting. This quarter I will get
their
this much
sales
profit.
forecast, their profit forecast, and these type of things.
Correct. But on what basis are they doing the forecast?
Based on the history, right? Based on the reports that
Correct.
they're putting
So
from.
either First of all, it's based on the current data or the
Yeah.
actual data.
Right.
Okay. Now we have to understand two things. And what is actual data? What is planned data? Actual data is data, transactional data, real transactional data. Okay. Usually we get it from R3 or ACC, whichever you, however you call it. Now planned data is nothing but the forecasted data is called planned data. Now we are slightly aware now what is this terminology. So I am getting daily actual data I am loading. So when will I do forecast? Will I do the forecast daily or will I do forecast once in a while?
Once a month?
There are two scenarios. You will be doing forecast daily because
Oh, okay.
in this week of 2014, I have sold this much. I have generated this much revenue. I have sold this much quantity. So based on this, based on your company performance, historical performance, so many factors they will be putting into that, and they will say that next year in the same week I will be expecting this much more profit, 10% more sales I will be doing, 10% more revenue. Okay, so forecast is depending on area and again how company wants to see it. There are some cases regular forecast will happen daily. Now there are a lot of criteria for forecast. It's a lot of things. It's a very huge start. So for forecasting, companies will use different tools. Companies use IP, integrated planning, to do the planning or forecasting. It's like a tool wherein you can do all the forecasting. It has all the functionalities wherein you can put all the options. You can generate a forecast data. Now, this forecasted data they will store it in another queue, or which is better, forecasted data they will store in another queue or they will store in the same queue. Which one will be better?
Obviously, other queues.
Okay. Now what happens is, if they are storing in another queue, again you have to combine them. If it is stored in a single queue, it would be better, right?
Oh, yes. That's it.
Okay. So in that case, what is happening is, my cube should support writing of data from this application. Like my cube should be enabled in such a way that this application can do the forecasting, it can push the data into my queue. Okay. Usually we are running only DTP to load the data. There is no other way to load the data to the queue. But here what we require, the actual data should be loaded via DTP. And planned data also should be written back to same queue from the integrated planning application, from the IP application. In this case, what happens is, if this is enabled, this kind of thing we achieve it, your single cube will contain actual data, planned data. So if you run the reporting on the cube, you can compare actual data and planned data. You don't need to combine two targets. It's in a single target. So, but both data are there in the same cube. In that case, it will lead to confusion. So, because all the values will be same, like material number, everything is same, just the next year, the year will change, the quantity sold, you are estimating more. So this might lead to confusion. So to differentiate actual and planned data, we use a field called value type. 0V type for object. So if 0V type equal to 10, it is actual data. If 0V type equal to 20, it is planned data. So this is how it is happening. Now, first and most prerequisite is, my cube should be in such a way, it should allow this application to write the data. So, my normal cube, standard info cube. There are two types of cubes. Standard cube, real-time cube. My standard cube does not allow only loading via DTP. Real-time queue, two options, two modes you can say. Loading mode, planning mode. You can choose the option. If it is loading mode, can load via DTP, planning not possible. That means your planning application, if it is in loading mode, you can load the DTP. Planning application cannot access the actual data. It is not accessible. But if you put it into planning mode, cannot load data, cannot load via DTP. But planning application can access it, plan the data, and even write back to the same queue. Just go through this. And tell me if you have. Okay, did you see this or is it okay for you? Are you able to understand? Okay. So first we understood what is planning, actual data, plan data. Then we understood this process. Okay. So this is a real-time view wherein I can. So for real-time view, now if I run a report on real-time view, since they are differentiated by value type, we can get the comparison. If you compare based on value type, you can do the comparison report level. Now there are some other cases wherein, for example, there are some cases called like budgeting. So this budgeting, they will be done 6 months, once in 6 months or once in a year. So what they will be doing is, budgeting is nothing but they will be allotting some money and expecting that this will be finishing in this much. But sometimes it might exceed or it might fall below this. So that's why we want to compare whether actual and budgeting data also. So in this case, will they be provided? I lost your audio for some time. Are you hearing me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, fine. So now we saw one scenario wherein everyday forecasting is required and they are writing back to the real-time view. That is one way. There is some other case. Now, in this case only, in this case only, you have actual data in one queue. You are doing the planning. You are sending it to another queue. Or you are doing planning and the data you are supplying in the form of a file. We have to load the file data. Okay, so one queue will have actual data, another queue they will supply the file regularly. We load into another queue, plan queue. We combine actual and plan in a multi-provider. Actual will have actual data. Plan will have plan data from file. So in this case, what is happening, if you are doing frequent planning, every time you are doing a planning, you have to take the output in the form of a file, supply the file, they have to load the file. So this is comfortable, or writing back to the real-time cube is comfortable, which is better?
I think real time, right?
Correct. Because in that case, no, this kind of additional steps are not required. That you plan it, send the file to someone, someone should load it again. It's a little bit tedious task.
Hmm.
Sometimes any format issues or anything, again you have to supply the file. So many issues are there. This one would be better. So in real world, where if there is a project which involves forecasting regularly, you can be assured that they are using real-time queue. Okay, what we can say is
But forecasting is really common
IP
in
application.
sales.
Correct. So IP application can access only BW real-time info queues. If your data is in your DSO, the application cannot access it. If it's in a BW real-time info queue, only then it can access it.
For this question
Then
here,
it can access,
Arvind,
it can
Arvind,
plan it and write the data back into the same queue.
Arvind, about the forecasting, here are we only pulling the data that can be used for forecasting and
This is how it
the
happens.
logic or
There are other forecastings, some forecasts like
no, my question is like in real scenarios like in sales forecasting or these type of things, like if it's a SAP environment, the BW environment, what they do, like they use actually a different application, or they use the data, or are we feeding the data like to be used for forecasting, or are we actually providing as a report, like also this is your forecasted data?
okay.
Are
Yeah,
we,
what happens is this planning application is a specific tool.
okay.
This tool has a lot of functionalities. So this tool can access your real-time queue,
I see. Okay.
which is having actual data. Now, some people are there who can make work with this tool.
Okay.
They will learn this tool. They will work with this tool. They will do all the planning, forecasting, and whatever planned data is there, they are writing back into the same queue.
I see.
After that, user can run report on this. Actual data is there, planned data, both are there in the same queue. We can use reporting functionality and compare actual and planned.
Oh, I see. Okay, I get it.
So little bit less maintenance. You are not like after every forecast you are not supplying file, you are not loading it. Those kind of things are avoided.
Yeah.
So since this integrated planning requires some BW knowledge, there are some job opportunities which say that they require BW skill along with IP skill, integrated planning. So they want to remove extra resource for IP. They want to use a BW resource who knows IP. That is also possible. Now, there are some cases like budgeting. Budgeting won't be done regularly. Every 6 months or every year or every quarter they will do some budget. Like this quarter I am allocating this money. What I am doing it will be understood after all the actual data is loaded. So actual data is coming from the actual queue. My budget is applying through a file. So budget I will load it into plan queue. Now if I want to see actual versus plan, how can I see in this scenario? Actual versus plan. Is both defined two separate targets or in a single target?
Single, right?
No, that was an earlier scenario. This is another scenario
Okay.
where
Yeah.
budgeting information is separate.
Yeah, two separate. Yeah.
Then if you want to compare actual versus plan, what will be your approach?
Or you use the multi-provider, is that?
Correct. So this is one of the commonly used scenario. You have actual data coming from so,
Urban, we cannot hear you.
budgeting data they will supply into a file once in a while, every 6 months or every year. So this is one example. Another example is, another common requirement is can you hear me now?
Yes. We lost you for a few seconds.
Okay. So wherein we use multi-provider. Another example is you have header data, item data, schedule line, this kind of data you want to combine and see header plus item, header plus schedule line. Those are also one of the scenario for multi-provider. Okay. So first let us see a basic of real-time info queue. How to create it we will see.
So did we lose all the data, or it's still this is the new installation?
No, yeah, this is a temporary one which I am using.
Oh, okay.
I think ours is still under process, I guess. Okay. So create an info queue. So here if you see, you are not having option to create a real-time queue directly. You have to just create info queue. While creating, here you have to choose real-time info queue. So this is design purpose, everything is the same. So we have done a scenario for the cube, right? You can build the same scenario, or you can try out some other scenario. Just the only option, initial option, we have to enable it as real time. Okay, I'm just creating some dummy one, not an exact one. I will show you what's the difference between our object and this one. So architecture wise, the star schema architecture, fact table, dimension table, everything is the same. Now you can see the difference between the standard and real time. There is an icon. This means that you can write back the data which you are doing from the planning application. So right click over here, planning specific properties, change real time load behavior. I said two modes are there. So you can see it can be load mode. It can be loaded with data, planning not allowed. It can be planned, loading not allowed. In the normal info cube, you will not get this option, planning specific properties. Only in the real time info cube you will get this. So let me put it as it can be planned. So system will not allow the loading. Let us see what this option will do. I will take some data source. Okay. Let me take this one and I'll create a transformation. Some rough I am doing. Okay. Now you create TTP. So observe this. Can you find any message? Cannot load equals to real time target. This is because it is set in the planning mode. Switch load behavior to can be loaded, planning not allowed. Right now, load behavior, if I change to loading allowed, at this moment I can run a DTP. You can see DTP is allowed running. So this is the option purpose of real-time info queue. Real-time info queue, just we need to be aware how to create it, what are the properties of it, what actually is happening. Now, I told you that they will, when they plan it, it will be set to planning mode. So who will be doing this switch? Planning to loading, loading to planning. Is it automated or?
It should be automated, yeah.
Yeah. So in this case, especially the load schedule, in that process chain itself, you have an option. You can see, let us create one chain. Create process chain. Now, as we are all aware, normal process of creating process chain. So in this case, what all should I include in the chain? First start variant, then after that tell me. Info package, right? That's the next step. So just take the info package name. Just choose it. Then DTP. Choose the DTP. Now, other BW processes. Switch to load mode. Give the info object info cube name. Now plan mode. So help me out in designing how to link them. Various processes we have included. First, what it should be. So first should always be start. Then info package. Switch to load mode. DTP. After loading is completed, switch to plan mode so that they can work on it. Right? Is it correct design? Yes, what do you say about this design?
Start load, load out, data transfer.
If before running DTP, I am setting the mode as load mode so that it can load. After completing DTP, and switching it to plan mode so the planning application can access it. So if you automate this, when the next load starts, again it will switch to load mode, complete the load, switch it back to plan mode. So until then, if it is in plan mode, application can use it, planning application. So this is how it is. So the steps wise, nothing different. I just showed you how to create a real-time queue, how it looks, what's the modes. Okay. Usually, when you load some data, you can click on monitor. You can see the load, everything. You can go back to the DTP request, everything. But when data is written from a planning application, it will show as request without info package. The description will be like this. You cannot monitor that load from BW, within BW. You can just see a request is there, but what is there in the data, how they have loaded it, that you cannot see. It will be showing as request without info package. So in a real-time queue, multiple requests are there. Whichever place you find this one, you can say that this is the one which is written back from the planning application. And so many different kinds of plannings can be done on the same set of data. So for each planning, if they write back in a separate request, so many request IDs will be there, it will be confusing. So what they do is, no matter how many people are planning, how many kinds of planning is happening, there is a threshold limit 50,000 records. Until 50,000 records, single request, one request. After that, another request. ID will be generated by the system. So in this way, too many request IDs also not there. So that is also an ideal way. Okay. So this is about the real-time info queue. So I guess you are clear with this. So we have to see the multi-provider. Okay. So for multi-provider, again I need few files, actual data file and planned data file. Right now it's not ready. I'll keep it ready, and tomorrow we will be loading that multi-provider.
Okay.
Okay. So meet tomorrow again.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Yep. Bye-bye.